So Sanitha, you're a very accomplished coach. Changed your profession from being in sales and marketing, and we'll come on to this in a little while, but to move into this as a wholly dedicated business coach. Tell me a little bit about, some of the most transformative breakthroughs that you've had whilst you've been working with your clients.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. The session that really stays with me is when I coached a very smart young economist who had just graduated with her master's degree, and she was really struggling with the imposter syndrome. And this has been passed through the generations, and it seemed like her mother had reinforced this syndrome, and she had experienced that herself. And so this young economist was really doubting herself and constantly checking in to see if she's okay, until we started really unpacking what her self-limiting beliefs were, what was getting in the way for her. And she really started telling her story about her life. And throughout the sessions, she kept kind of gaining her confidence, and she slowly was able to name the things that were getting in her way. And it was such a transformative session at the end of the period. I worked with her for about a year, and she's now a thriving senior economist working in the energy sector. And it's just something that stays with me because it's just such a wonderful story, and it just warms my heart.
Thank you. So, as you think about the act that you, or the process that you went through with this client and helping her move from being an economist to a senior economist, what do you know about either your skills and your experience, or even the act of coaching that facilitates such a change and a shift for an individual?
Yeah, thank you for that, Pam. I think it's really about my own experience that always helps me stay grounded as a coach and helps me relate to my clients at a much deeper human level. And I think for me, coaching is very much about humaneness and about humility, about kindness, about love, about safety. And I think that's what I provided for my client. She felt safe with me. She was able to be vulnerable, and she was able to share her deepest, darkest moments with me. And I think that's what set her free. And if I relate it to my own experience, I've also had experiences where I've doubted myself and where I was feeling vulnerable. And, I'll tell you more a little later about my experience with my coach and how I thrived as a young aspiring leader through having the privilege of a coach.
Yeah, so some of it is about almost pushing yourself to take a leap of faith to know that something useful and helpful is going to come out of it.
Yes, indeed. Except at the time, one doesn't feel that one is ready to take that leap of faith. It's just
Yeah,
about having the comfort and the safety of a coach that
yeah,
you can allow yourself to be vulnerable without being judged. And
yeah.
those were the moments for me and for my client and for me as a coachee that set me free and helped me to believe in myself and the things that I was truly capable of doing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important for coaches to have that business acumen and that business experience and that relatable understanding where you've been in some of the scenarios that the people that we're coaching have been in. So there's that context and that empathy as well as the incredible skills that we hold as a coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Say a little bit about what inspired you to step out of corporate life and set up your own business and become a coach.
Yeah, it was quite a defining moment for me because I'd been working in pharma for more than 20 years. And I'll tell you a little bit about my ex-boss. And then I joined a global airline just because I didn't know what I was going to do with myself, and I didn't expect to get the job, but anyway, I got the job. And but for me, my work in the pharmaceutical industry was really about the culture and the amazing leadership in the organization. So I want to tell a little story, if I may. So I recently connected with David, who was my boss, and I connected with him after 25 years after leaving the organization. So we met and we kind of found each other. And we had the most amazing conversation about 3 weeks ago. And I reminded David of the pivotal role that he'd played in my professional life and now in my own practice, because David was the most sincere, trusting, empowering, present leader. He used to invite me to his office weekly to have sessions with him, just to check in to see how I was doing, because I'd relocated from the coast and moved up to head office. And, he was wise, grounded, sincere, and just so empowering and so acknowledging. So when I changed careers because we went through a merger, I decided that my epiphany was really to emulate David. And so when I met with David, I reminded him of the role he's played. And he said, Sanitha, you don't have to give me all those compliments because I'm not going to give you a pay rise. And we laughed. But anyway, I think for me, the inspiration was really, he's now well into his 80s. He's living his best life, enjoying his life. And I just think, what an inspiration for someone to remain so positive and so consistent. So that's my journey, and it continues, and I learn every day. But that was such a special moment for me to reconnect with David. He was one of the people I'll always remember in my life.
What's a piece of advice or something that he said to you all those years ago that stuck with you, Sanitha?
Oh, yes. So he was at head office, and I got a promotion to another area in the coast, excuse me. So being very performance and achievement orientated, it was a new city. I knew nobody, and I was busy trying to manage my responsibilities while settling down. And David said to me, he said, Sanitha, I know that you want to hit the ground running, but please take all the time you need to settle down, because that's the most important thing. And once you settle down, I know you will exceed your expectations. And that was over 25 years ago, and it still sits with me. Because what an empowering, trusting thing to say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that he trusted in your innate capability and also knew it would take a bit of time, and it just took the pressure off your shoulders to move to high performance quickly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And my performance in that 1 year was outstanding, with my team, of course.
Mm.
But knowing that I had his unconditional support was just such an inspiration, such a motivation for me.
So is that if you think about what you love about being a coach, would you say it's that unconditional support and that non-judgmental space and just holding people? That's the thing that you personally get the most from it.
Absolutely, totally. I think it's really about being in a space where you don't feel judged.
Mm,
You feel supported,
mm,
where you feel heard, and
mm,
where you feel respected as an equal partner in the coaching relationship. I like
mm,
to think that coaching relationships is about equal partnering, equal thinking partners.
yeah.
Because the coach is not the expert. We're both experts. And I think if we can think and learn and discover and create together, that's where the magic happens in a coaching session. And
Yeah.
I found that when I allow that to happen, and I'm consistent in the way in which I probe and I prod and I ask some questions, which sometimes can be uncomfortable. But in that discomfort is where the biggest learning happens.
Yeah, yeah. Some people might wonder what's the difference between coaching and therapy and mentoring. Yeah,
Mm.
and to some extent in what you're describing there, you might even imagine that there are blurred boundaries. But how do you hold a place of coaching rather than therapy or mentoring?
Yeah, thanks for that question, because it can blur the boundaries. So and sometimes I catch myself getting into a mentoring mode, having been a leader myself. Excuse me, my throat. So I usually check in with the client, especially if I notice there's a bit of stuckness and that people are struggling to come up with some kind of clear thinking. I ask their permission of whether I can help offer a suggestion, a
Mm,
suggestion. So that's how I manage the coaching mentoring boundary. Because in simple terms, for me, coaching is about asking and mentoring is about telling.
hmm
And that's how I like to define it, because I used to run mentoring workshops as well. As far as consulting is concerned, I think consulting is really about being invited into an organization to really help them shine a light on what's working well and what's not working well, and how to enhance that and to address. So that's where we use our expertise.
Yeah.
Therapy, on the other hand, is really starting from an assumption that there are some limiting beliefs that is getting in the way of the person concerned, and that when you deal with those self-limiting beliefs, you are able to then set yourself free.
Mm.
Whereas coaching and mentoring assumes that you are ready to be your best self.
Mm. Yeah. So, and it's true that in Thrive, we meet people where they're at. And so, if somebody's never done something, has got their back against the wall and needs to do something in an hour, we do jump in and say, shall we do a bit of a brainstorm? Shall we explore some ideas? And we'll do that in a way that's empathetic to them being able to get either the knowledge, the skill, the understanding, the tool, the technique, as well as being coached so that they feel as though we can get them on the front foot, getting into the thing that they've got coming up and being able to move. And sometimes people need that boost of confidence that comes from a place of knowledge or understanding rather than insight and reflection. And that's what's so great about, having been there, done it, and worn the t-shirt, as a manager and a leader and an executive, that that sometimes actually you just need something different. And as a coach, you're equipped to do that, which is also rewarding in itself, right?
Absolutely. And
Mm.
that's what I love about the Thrive coaching methodology, is that we have the ability to offer our clients either a quick session to allow them to quickly think something through, a burning issue,
Mm.
and we have the option of continuing with the sessions to dig into the deeper layers so that we can do some transformational coaching. So it's lovely that it's so agile, so flexible, and so digital that you can do it at any time. You're
Yeah,
on call pretty much. So I,
yeah,
I love that Thrive is offering that flexibility.
yeah, yeah. Can you say a little bit in your experience about what a first session's like and how somebody who's not been coached or not had the gift, a bit like you going into your first coaching relationship, what can people expect from it and how do they get ready for it? Because some people don't get started because they just don't know how to get started, Sanitha.
Yes, yes. I find that sometimes as well. I think that, so I'd like to share how I do it, if I may. So I really start with trying to be as human as possible, and try to create as much trust with the client as possible. So I usually start by meeting them where they are and asking them what their understanding of coaching is. And once we kind of have a common understanding of what coaching is, we're able to tell stories. So for me, one of the things that I like to use in my coaching is about storytelling. So I tell a story about myself, and often in this case, I would tell the story of when I first started having a coach and what that felt like. And then and depending on how the client responds, I share stories of other clients who have been in a similar situation. And just by telling those stories, Pam, I find that it kind of infuses a sense of enthusiasm in the client, and they start seeing how safe and nurturing coaching can be.
What would be some typical goals or challenges that you've been asked to coach people on over the past 12, 24 months?
Mm. So one of the things that often comes up is leaders in transition. So what happens to leaders that move from one level of leadership to another level of leadership? And what are the dilemmas that face them? I did my research in one of my coaching programs on dilemmas facing leaders in transition. And there's a multitude of anxiety, joy, nervousness, lack of confidence, because people want to hit the ground running like I wanted to do. And so that's one of the big things, but there's a lot of other things like personal branding, leadership presence, professional relationship tensions, managing upwards, managing sidewards. Often in teams and groups, there are tensions. So those are some of the things that come up. Career aspirations, people's career aspirations not being met, and how they feel stuck and they don't know how to take that leap of faith and have those courageous conversations with their bosses.
Can people get ready themselves, or can people coach themselves, do you think, on some of those challenges? And is it as impactful as working with a coach?
Oh, Pam, I really don't think so. And I'll tell you why, because we know that having the self-talk is not as liberating is the right word, as having someone who is trained to listen to you with empathy, with support, with non-judgment, and acts as a catalyst to help you think beyond your own self-limiting beliefs. And
Yeah.
we all have self-limiting beliefs that hold us back. So having someone to talk to in a safe space without being judged, with love and care and nurturing, for me is just the most therapeutic, liberating, heartening, nurturing experience.
Yeah, and there's certainly research that says that working with a coach presses you and tests you to go further than you would set for yourself. So that whole idea that Tim Galway talked about, that potential is performance minus interference, right? And that you've got to almost take away and become aware of what's going on, and where are you totally blind or deaf to all the rules that you've either had laid down for you or laid down for yourself. And the coach aims to provocate and push and remove some of those boundaries in your thinking that gets you further faster or gets you unstuck. And I agree
Yeah.
with you. What you can ask an AI bot is not as well founded as what a coach can ask you once they've had a bit of time with you. And certainly what we've learned is, doing at least 4 coaching conversations starts you on that path of really beginning to unblock, enlighten, become more self-aware, notice more of what's entrapping you, and get some positive, profound change in your life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think it's really, just to add to that, it's really about taking this pause and
Mm,
just being still and
mm,
reflecting.
Yeah.
I'm reading Ryan Holiday's book called Stillness is the Key. I would highly recommend it for somebody who's really busy and unable to just stay still and just reflect and introspect. It's the most nourishing, profound way of living your life. And if you can, one of the things I know you've asked me before is what makes somebody think that they're ready for coaching?
Yes.
I think my answer would be, if you're ready to introspect, if you're ready to be vulnerable, if
Mm.
you're ready to be your best self,
Mm.
then you're ready for coaching. And it doesn't matter what age you are, what stage in your career you are, but if you're in that space where you want to really push yourself to the limit, but you've got to be ready to do that.
Yeah.
You've got to, if you're not sure, ask your potential coach. These are my fears, these are my concerns. What can coaching do that will help me get over the line?
We have loads of people that get on and are coached and are grateful and describe it as life-changing, but we have a team of people that will procrastinate, will never get around to it, will say to their boss when they're asked that I just haven't got the time. How would you answer people that just don't believe that they've got the time for coaching?
Yeah. That's a common thing that I experience, and it's a tough one because I have to check in with myself, because I think, why wouldn't you want to coach? It's like, if your company thinks that you are valuable enough for them to want to invest in you, it is one of the most amazing investments they can make and you can make in yourself. And
Yes.
so it baffles me why people struggle to find the time to prioritize coaching. And to add to that, I have some clients who are really busy. I understand that they have their KPIs to reach and deadlines. And so they often postpone or reschedule. And I just think now is the time you really need a coach. You
Yeah.
need to stop, pause, reflect, and then think about things differently. And
Yeah.
that's what I would like to say to a coachee who is struggling to prioritize coaching. It's a time to pause, reflect, introspect, and think about doing things more creatively with
Mm.
your team.
And what's fascinating, Sanitha, is I've yet to meet anybody that's regretted working with a coach. And
Oh,
I've been coaching for nearly 30 years. And normally the thing that people say is, I wish I'd got around to this sooner.
yes. Oh, yes. I hear that all the time. Hear that all the time. It's amazing. It's a lovely thing to hear as a coach.
Yeah. Some people wonder about whether or not anything meaningful can be done in 30 minutes. What's your what's your thoughts and experience on that?
Pam, when I first started working with Thrive, I also thought, oh, what can I do in 30 minutes that's going to change the life of somebody? And then when I gave it a try, I realized that people come to us with some burning questions that they just need to get themselves unstuck.
Mm.
And that's what I like about the Thrive process, is that we do a very short check-in, and we have the pre-coaching information so that we know where we're starting from. And usually we are able to get to the matter, the depth of the matter quite quickly in the conversation.
Mm.
So when
Yeah.
the coachee feels that we understand what they need, we get on to the real business of coaching.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is a way of building trust with the clients, because they know that we get them. So
Yeah.
when you know that someone gets you, you're willing to share more and more and think more and more. And that's what I found with the Thrive coaching process, that for those people that I've coached twice or thrice, they've really come back with another dilemma that they have.
Yeah.
And when they've addressed the dilemma and gotten unstuck, they come back with another one, because they feel more able, secure, and comfortable to
Yeah.
ask something else.
So we're so masterful at creating rapport through the listening and creating a great conversation. And some people, as you say, come in with dilemmas, and other people coming with something more transformational and something slightly longer and deeper and more profound in either a mindset, an attitude, a belief, a habit that they want to really delve into and change. And those, it's possible to be able to, of course, book longer sessions with your coach and work in a longer format. So it doesn't need to just be 30 minutes, it can be 60 or 90 minutes if that's how you want to contract with your
And
coach.
it can
Yeah.
totally be. I've had lots of sessions that have been an hour,
Yeah.
and I've got a Thrive client who I've been working with for the last about 15 months.
Yes.
And she came, if I can share the
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
she arrived to the session really feeling rejected, dejected, unsupported. Although she had the privilege of a coach, she was just suffering with she was lonely. I guess that's the word, because the higher up you go in an organization, the lonelier it gets, right? And so she found the coaching space so safe, so inspirational, and she felt that she wasn't being heard enough.
Mhm.
And so we spoke about what it felt like. What does she need? What does being heard feel like for her? And
Mm.
so we went through this whole, and we got deeper and deeper into a whole world view. She shared with me her very, very challenging and quite traumatic a childhood. And so we went into a very, very deep conversation. But fast forward, she just recently shared with me that she's landed her dream job in the company. And
Amazing.
she's become the most confident. Even with her presence, I could see her shoulders are back. She's got a nice, soft smile on her face. She speaks with confidence, no more droopy shoulders. It's just
Mm.
everything about her presence is just absolutely magnificent. It's just so
Mm.
lovely to see. So she sent me a message to say, Sanitha, I just wanted to share with you that I've got my dream job. How amazing
Amazing.
is that?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and that's testimony to how you show up in each and every relationship. But they're magic moments, aren't they? And I guess what keeps you motivated and inspired in your work is when you get feedback from
Oh,
clients like that that share either that's exactly what I need, I can go and do it tomorrow, or I've got my dream job.
yes,
Mm.
yes. I think it's the most rewarding job to be a coach, to be a
Mm.
catalyst in someone else's lives, to
Yeah.
have to get them unstuck, to get them to discover, not get them, but help them and facilitate their personal growth.
Mm.
It has to be the most rewarding job in the world. It's just
So
lovely to see.
you talk a lot and you represent, many coaching in many different forums and the case for coaching. If you had to give one piece of advice to either an individual or an organization about the case for coaching, how would you summarize that?
Yeah, I would say that it's really a journey of discovering your authentic and your creative self.
Yeah.
And I think that giving your leaders and aspiring leaders and existing leaders the opportunity to reflect and to start looking at things differently.
Mm.
And, Wayne Dyer said that when you change the way you see things, the things you see change.
Mm.
And often with leaders in this very complex world that we're living in with so much uncertainty, there's so little time to think and pause and reflect and be creative.
Mm.
And that's what I would encourage organizations to consider in investing in coaching for their individuals, for their teams, and for groups,
Mm.
because we know that the magic happens when groups come together and when we start appreciating the gifts that we all bring together as a group and
Yeah.
how they collectively achieve the organizational goals. For me, that's really magical. When people start seeing beyond their personal biases and when they start appreciating other people for the gifts that they bring, it's just magical to see how teams and organizations can transform.
Yeah, and some of that starts with an individual knowing what's going on for themselves, because if you don't love yourself or if you don't feel good about yourself, it's hard for you to sit in those relationships. And societally, we've all got a collective responsibility to be able to keep vibrant conversations alive with the people that, we work with day in, day out, or live with day in, day out. And that's, that art of having a great conversation is something that we've all got to actively pursue. And there's no better place to start than with a coach and gifting yourself a little bit of time in your life to get those insights that allow you to feel affirmed, feel acknowledged, feel validated, to notice what you've got rather than what you've not got, and to be able to bring that into kind of a daily living practice, so that you can, be the best version of yourself. Yeah. Thank you, Sanitha, as ever. It's been wonderful talking with you.
Oh, such a pleasure, Pam. Thank you for the invitation.